What's going on, guys? So this is a box with a demon on it. This is a Gundam that needs to get dressed. And this is Master Grade Monday. Let's get to it. Alright, guys, the time has finally come to review the MG Barbatos. And I think my camera is slightly crooked in the tripod here. Probably good. Either way, so we have some lovely box art here of the Barbatos. It's kind of when he first came out of the ground, but it's also not because they didn't have the shoulders on there. They just had, blank ones. But he did, break out of the ground and smash up a couple grazes in the initial appearance. So it's somewhere in there. I mean, it's like before they came to Earth, yeah, he did jet around with the new shoulders and stuff like that. So it is what it is. I do appreciate that for the most part. You can read Gundam Barbatos right there. I keep wanting to say Barbados. That's a bat god. It's a different thing entirely. You do have some grays damaging here, some nice rocks and stuff broken up in all the directions. Looks pretty cool. The only thing is you can't read the model number, but whoop-de-doo. Nobody really goes by that anyways, except for very specific people who live and die by the model numbers. So, Bandai Spirits 2019, made in Japan. That's cool. And you got the Bandai Spirits blue logo down here. Whoa. Alright, so we've got obligatory front and rear shot there, and he is loaded up with all his weapons. And you got a nice little thing there. It says various joints and wide range of articulation characteristic action poses of the Gundam Barbatos can be recreated. Front view, Gundam frame. The iconic silhouette that created the Gundam frame has been recreated with a remarkably dense design and articulated gimmicks. And what they meant was they made it complex. Ahab reactors can be articulated. Plated parts have been used for cylinders that move in conjunction with various joints of the frame. And pictures of all different. Anyways, then you got a bunch of arrows. Things can go, all kinds of stuff. Rear view with the naked booty. Figures comes with 1/100 figures of Mikazuki August standing and sitting. Marking stickers unique to the plastic model kit are included. Yes, but I didn't use them. And you got the ASWG 08 Gundam Barbatos 4th form. It's one of the Gundam frames developed during the Calamity War, featured in multiple Gundam. Just reading if there's anything important there. Basically, that just sums up everything that's on the side of this box. That is a very stupid thing. I would actually like some history of Barbatos there. Then you got all the things here. BandaiHobby.net. And they don't have the G Taketsu website anymore, I don't think. And come back around here, you have weaponry, and you have the mace, the sword, and the 300mm smooth bore gun. That's huge. Arms. It's got stuff that moves. See, got the elbows? Yeah. Elbow joint can bend at 2 points. The wrists have multiple articulation axes. Axes? Okay, I guess that's how that's spelled, or it's a or it's typo. And can recreate natural movements. You got knees, armor on the back of the knees, enabling the range of articulation and ease to expand. Backpack, thrusters can be articulated. Subarms function as weapon racks when they are stored. Yes, that's true. Be unfolded, maintain the smooth bore gun firing position, which is pretty cool. Thrusters on the backpack, yay. And thrusters on the side of the legs, yay. There you got a Gundam with all its stuff and everything in the box, yay for that. And you got, it just uses polystyrene. It's kind of crazy. This entire kit is nothing but polystyrene. You do have the thing there, and no yen cost, but it was somewhere in the $50 range. I already forgot. Anyways, you got your warnings here. And then, where is my thing? Yes, illustration is by Morishita Naochika, which is, of course, my favorite artist, who did such a good job. But unfortunately, everything always ends up upside down. I don't know how that keeps happening. Alright, let's get to it. Alright guys, of course, we do have the naked Gundam frame. Yeah, after you know, we saw it the week before. If you need to, go check that out. Link in the thingy that hopefully just popped up just now, if I remember to do it. So what we're going to do is actually dress this guy. The only thing I didn't do was clean up any of this, but hey, it's going to be covered up in the future. Anyway, so everybody said they wanted a time lapse for this, so that's what we're going to try to do. It's probably going to look stupid, but hey, it might be cool. Let's kick it off. Alright, so here we have Barbatos finished up now, and actually slightly modified for those who have a keen eye. I did modify the V-fin, actually that's what I just spent the last hour doing. It was just too wrong. I mean, it came up to like here, it was way too tight, so I just tried to cut it off, angle it, and shorten the actual fins. I think I did a pretty decent job. I can tell it's uneven, and as you can see, it's still kind of wet there with cement. Since the entire kit is polystyrene, you can just use cement on that. I did use a little bit of super glue to help support it. When it's fully dry, I'll probably build it out a little bit more. It's not as wide as I really wanted it to. So original Barbatos is a lot wider. These are kind of turned back a little. So they should come out to about here and then only stick out so far. So that's one of the design aspects I never really liked. So now I've modified it a little bit. So normally it would be like turned up to here. And I was basing it purely off of the HG. So you can see there, that was my model. I did turn it sideways just a little bit. And like I said, it's not perfect, but I think I can totally live with it. Obviously, I did different things with this one. Obviously, painting everything gold instead of that. And he's super weathered, things like that. But for the most part, it's, a very similar type of thing. Although I'm starting to think I put this in wrong, but I can't. It looks right. I don't know. I looked at the instructions and I did just realize I forgot the backpack. But that's comparison to the HG. Obviously, tons of stickers, much smaller, and I hadn't done the copper tubing just yet. Obviously, the paint here for the shoulder things. This is actually a weird translucent thing. It doesn't light up. I don't know why they made it translucent. I think it would have been fine just molding it in a pink plastic. I mean, it doesn't really do much for me, kind of like the translucent for the eyes wouldn't have, but it looks pretty cool. One thing I don't think I ever realized is how his chin was. That red piece is like a whole extra sticky uppy part. It's really kind of weird. But it is what it is. And of course, the eyes are kind of hidden back there. Shoulders and stuff do have the nice flip-flop. Looks pretty cool. I like the way those are layered. You do get the cockpit, which is inside there, and you do get a little bit of mica up in there, as we discovered before. I really don't like just how this layers. It doesn't feel right, and like this doesn't feel like it's up all the way. And then this actually, it does tell you to slide this forward as well. So I guess I don't know what that does for cockpit, so to speak. Because look, that's not all the way in place. That's about as good as that's going to get, I think. Yeah, see, like there, I guess. I don't know. That's a translucent piece as well. So all the nice layering of the skirts and the armors and everything like that. I kind of like how it all goes on. It's a little weird that you put on the clear part and the vents and stuff first onto the leg and then you apply the armor over it instead of plugging it into the armor. I thought that was a little bit weird. I think that the way the arms are, well, it does layer nicely and does hide really well. It's kind of just too many pieces, in my opinion. You may not share that opinion. And once again, we can see the open back and stuff like that because I forgot to put on the backpack, which is Rachel. And yeah, that is the up section there. I like that the thruster does move. That's pretty neat. Where's it? There we go. There we go. Now he's technically complete. And then you can tilt the head down and really just kind of look at him. The only thing I'm not digging is the way that collar is right there. That is just really annoying. So, first good final form, I guess you want to call it, is the fourth form, so to speak. I like this version, but I think, like, there's things I like about the sixth form a little bit better than this one. One thing that's always weird is, like, do you keep the shoulders down? Do you prop them up a little bit? Give them a little bit more presence? Stuff like that. I don't know. It's up to you. You can still see some of the, or at least I can still see some of the metal rubbing coming through. The thrusters on the legs can actually pivot, which is pretty freaking cool. I like that. These things, if you pull that down, I guess that gives you more mobility for the legs. I guess it means you just can bend a lot further. Let's see. So if that's up like that, yeah, it ends there. You drop it down, it goes up a bit further. So I guess it does work. I mean, okay, so hold on. Let's drop that all the way down like that. So I was only really utilizing the upper knee, not the lower. So if we push this back up into place. Yeah, okay, so that really does actually make a difference there. That's pretty cool. The feet are still really stupid, not gonna lie. Even slapping the armor on top is still pretty stupid. So, like, to keep the feet flat, the armor doesn't pivot. I kind of wish it would. And the way that this back ankle section functions is a little stupid, if I'm honest. So I guess to keep it clearing all that, they have this on a hinge. So there's that. I'm going to say this, and maybe you'll understand me. It doesn't feel good. The the way that the frame is, and maybe this is just because it is a non-polycap frame. By the way, I found a polycap runner in the box that I thought went to it, but it has no polycaps, so I must have dropped that in there by accident from something else. It feels a lot in the way of the 2.0 seed frames, where there's some heft, but overall, like, the movement and everything feels strange. The plastic doesn't feel great. The build is good, the details are good, but something about it just feels strange, especially when you're moving and posing it. It just feels weak. Like, you gotta drop the hip down, get some clearance here, stuff like that. Let me split that. I don't know, something about the way that the joints go together, something about the way the plastic is, feels just not good. I don't have a good explanation for it, but if you've built this 2.0 seed frames, you'll probably know what I mean. Now, before I get too much further with this, let's bring in the other 1/100. So we have the Lupus, obviously not MG. Now, this is a polycap filled one, and you can see he has the same problem that the HG has. Everything is super wobbly. But for my money, I like this a bit better. Not only you can see the height difference with the heels and stuff like that, but you know, you can see how the armor evolved over time. Now, obviously, we will likely get a Lupus and a Lupus Rex down the line, but even with the V-fin, so this one is not even anywhere near as prominent. When I tell you this one was ridiculous, it was legit up to here. It was absolutely ridiculous. It has bothered me about the design ever since they released it. But you can see here just how they evolve over time, keep some things similar, and then some things very different. Now, this definitely doesn't feel like this. This is a much sturdier plastic, and more rigid, let me say that. So parts about this, everything is a little bit softer than that. So the edges are a little bit softer, the panel lines are a little bit softer, nowhere near as crisp. The plastic doesn't feel the same. This feels like the same kind of plastic in an RE. This feels like MG. That's a really weird way to put it, but if you know the plastics I'm talking about, you'll understand what I mean. It feels cheaper, so to speak. This feels strange and weak to some degree, but even next to the 1/100 Grays, which detail-wise, I don't know if they're ever going to give us an MG Grays. I kind of wish they would. Maybe they will. I don't know. This, I think, is good enough for what it does, to be totally honest. I mean, other than really overcomplicating the inner frame and giving us a cool working eye mechanism or something like that, I don't know that they can improve this too much. See, look, down here, like his feet. It's just weird, wonky, deer feet. And then just for the heck of it, next to the Schwalbe, and I still have the Gray's Kai that I need to build, so that might come up eventually. So gotta think at some point these two faced off in orbit. Okay, so let's go over accessories real quick. Set him to the back. And we have his mace, which is definitely stylized. It's got a lot going on, if I'm honest. And actually, I have his holding hand fingers on there, because we'll look at that in a second. This, you can hear, just sounds like crap. This feels like too light. It's very pointy, which is great and all. The handle does move ever so slightly, which seems really stupid. But then I think that's just for this. So you pop that pile bunker out like that. I know he used that in one instance where he like squeezed this thing and that shot out and he killed the guy. And another thing that I don't know if it's meant to be a separate weapon or something, these come off. I don't know if he's meant to use these as separate little blades or something. I don't even know if that's in the instructions, but those pop out. But just for comparison, there it is next to the HG, which I think looks, well, pretty well accurate. This is just overly stylized. There's extra panel lines where they don't need to be. This doesn't need to be hollow up in here. That can be all but solid, you know? He does have very similar hold points, which is always cool, and then some very similar details down there. Okay, that just went all the way to the floor. Alright, he is back. And of course it is similar color. So for the hands, you move the thumb out of the way, you just pull the back of the hand off. Actually, you don't have to do that, but you totally can. So pull out the fist. What do we got here? This is the right hand, or left hand. This is the right hand. We plug that in there. Now, mind you, this is my least favorite type of hand, probably in existence. And it shows that it's just not that good. Also, the fact that the thumb is always the same, regardless. And that he doesn't do a full wrap around it, just sort of cupping, so to speak. So it can look fine as he's holding it. And of course the wrist and everything does move. If you need to know about the articulation and things like that, we went over it in the Naked Bear frame review. I was trying to pop that out so I can get a higher grip on it, or a lower grip, one way or the other. So like, I don't know, it does, nothing about it feels sturdy or permanent. Let's see if I grab it up here. See, look, that should clip in a little bit more than it does. It's just sort of there. See, why was it fine a second ago and now it's giving me crap? So just, yeah, now it's just not cooperating. Look at that, it's not even going to stay in his hand. So if I clip that in there, and push the thumb around, hold that down like that, in theory he can hold that. Notice the swivel there is pretty significant. Though for my money, that's not the weapon I'm going to use for him. I'm more likely to use his sword, as it were. Now this has a little clippy here, which for the backpack you can utilize. So you do actually have this ability where these things can come down and swivel and whatnot like that. But the cool thing is you can slide these up. Unlike the HG weapons, which would just plug right into that hole, which honestly I kind of considered they would just do, you slide those little guys up and you take this and you tab it in like so. Make sure everybody's just kind of snugged up, and then you can just slide the sword right there, and you can just tuck this back up in here. You have a piston that moves around, but that's how you can get weapon storage. And you guys know what I always say about weapon storage.
Is always good?
That's right. So the sword can do that, and I guess you're meant to use the same type of hand, but since the slot goes a little bit deeper, perhaps it can hold the sword better. So let's swing that around instead. Yeah, like this. And see how there's teeth kind of all along here? I believe that is meant to key that into... Yep, just like that. So in that aspect, actually, the hand worked out really nicely, I must say. So that works out really well. Just not for the spear, or the mace, rather. So he can hold the sword. Very nice. I dig that. That's pretty neat. Like I said, the fists are kind of stupid. But if you are so inclined, you also get left and right expressive claw fingers, which is always good. And then if you want to, you can also utilize the next bit for weapon storage. Pull this out, and yeah, I still have some white paint on my fingers, and you'll see for what here in a second after I get all this done. So you want this to pop out, and you can use this again there, and that will help that guy. But really what you're going to use it for is this big honking cannon. So 300 millimeter smoothbore, and so you can slot that in, push this down tight like that, and then now you have the gun mounted to the back. And yeah, sometimes getting that wedged together is not the easiest thing. And so you have that giant gun mounted on his back, just like I do this one. I'm pretty sure I glued the gun in place in this case, so there won't be much of a comparison there. I apologize. So if we go ahead and remove that, we can extend the weapon out like so, and it will go a bit underslung. This can hinge out as well. I think that's bottomed out there. So I don't think, yeah, that can rotate, but only there. Come on. Maybe that's not meant to rotate and I'm screwing something up. I was just trying to see if there was ever meant to be a way to do that properly. Maybe that is how it's supposed to go. No, because the gun's facing the wrong way. You stupid. You stupid. Okay, so let's turn that back. Down like that. Flip the gun around. Until it pops off the edge. So it is meant to stay clipped in. Obviously, it didn't want to. Come on. Clip on. Clip on, little guy. It's honestly not the best system. Okay, so if I do that number, tuck that down. So for the gun, I'll just go over it. So you got the nice folded mode here. What you want to do, extend the barrel completely. Then it's on a big fat hinge. And then you slide the barrel back in until it locks into place. Then I'm trying to figure out exactly how he's supposed to hold this properly, because the handle turns sideways. See, this is what I mean. Like, the arm doesn't move that freely. Oh yeah, this part slides forward. I forgot about that. I can hear the comments now. Why don't you practice this thing? Shut up. That's why. Okay, so let's find the trigger spot. That should key into place. I guess that is about as good as that gets, huh? There we go. Alright, so now I have to get the hand into place somehow. Okay, so that's the hand. This is all splitting. Fingers aren't doing their job. I have a feeling it's easier than this, and I'm just struggling because I'm stupid somehow. Though one thing I don't know is why they don't just have a hand for this. This is some HG bullshit happening here for this lovely new HG we have, or MG we have here. I think I said it right the first time. Okay, so if you can utilize the wrist a little bit, it helps. But what I want is for this to be facing that way. There we go. Rotate out the butt. I'm just... And, you know, I know people complain that I should just show this off and then call it a day. But then you don't understand the struggle that I'm going through. You don't understand the fight you might have when you come and try to put the gun in its fucking hand. like that. And like, I know that's not even close to right. I know it isn't. Because that is where it's supposed to be. So let's turn the hand again. Try to utilize that fucking wrist. And utilize the thumb. I want that in place and holding the cannon. See, what would be nice is if that handle would come 100% 90 degrees out to the side, but it does not. And you can see here that the fingers are just not cooperating. But I can do that. And maybe I can shrink the piston up a little bit so you can get it in his armpit at least. It's basically how Mika was shooting it anyways. Okay, so have I shown off enough that the fingers are completely useless? Because I think I have covered it enough. So let's just store the gun away. Whoa, what did I... what did I just do? Hold on. Well, I know that's not right. Oh, I forgot that slides up and down. So that needs to go up in there. There we go. I did have it. I had it right. I'm just... okay. So that's just that. And he does have elbow plugs, so those will come in handy later for other weapons and such, I'm sure. So let's just close that up, and we'll just say that, hey, the sword is the coolest weapon, because you can possibly double hand that. In theory. Okay, there we go. Got that. See, everything is just a little too tight. Everything doesn't have enough flex to it. And that's what I have a problem with. That's why I don't dig these type of frames. But frankly, this has gone on long enough. I don't even have any clue what I'm going to do for a thumbnail yet. But we'll figure it out, I guess, at some point. But I have one more thing to show off other than my really wonky custom V-fin. And it is a super tiny Mika minifig. And I did paint it up using a combination of different Gundam markers, grays, black, green, yellows. Mix up a skin tone, stuff like that. Even made an attempt to do the Tekadon logo on the back, which didn't come out that great. But overall, it's pretty good. Little Mika. And he's super small. There's your references. So guys, I'm going to just give it an overall idea. It's good. It's just incredibly annoying. And just so you can see how the gun compacts is pretty neat. So it uses this slider here, and then you'll just tap that in there. I have had to use some glue. This white part here had to be glued in place. It just slips on. It was not tight at all. I also glued the barrel of the gun into this. I think it was just, yeah, this end plugged into here. It wouldn't stay. So I did cement that in place. You can do the same thing. By the way, there's a nice new sticker in there. That'll show it. Yeah, so the details are nice. But like I said before, I think in their quest to make something to a certain degree, they actually have over-engineered something that didn't have to be over-engineered. I hate these hands. I hate this with a passion. Give me full swap-out hands or give me articulated fingers and give me a thing to tab into the weapons. Those are the good MG hands. I don't necessarily need them all to be the same type of articulated fingers and stuff like that, the fully articulated ones, because those also can be wonky and not necessarily great. But everything that doesn't rotate when it should, everything that pops off instead of moving when it should, bothers me. The details of the V-fin being so ridiculous and tall has always bugged me ever since I first saw this design. And just, there's some decisions that I just don't understand as a Gunpla builder. And you can see that it's really posable, and I'm not really stretching it because, frankly, it's going to be wonky. It's going to fight me if I try to do too much with it. I don't know. It's a mess. It's a very big mixed bag of good and what were they thinking? That's the best way I can put it. It's the biggest, best kind of why did they do this kind of situation. So I know they're going to do more. Supposedly Flaros is the next one. I'm down for that because that's one of my favorite Gundams of the series. This chest thing doesn't make sense. Like, you don't have a great cover down. The engineering for the armor is fine. The engineering for the frame is overly done. Having built an HG, having built the 1-100, those are all perfectly good. Like, it's a step down, but this is over-engineered. This is more than it needed to be to get the job done. And I think that the kit overall is hindered by it. But that's it. Guys, give me a big old thumbs up. Go watch the Inner Frame review if you didn't. And, of course, give me a big old subscribe if you're also new to the channel. Go subscribe to the secondary channel if you want to see all my non-Gundam content, including music reviews that I started doing over there under the title of It Doesn't Have to Make Sense. And then from there, we'll just be friends, I guess. So let me know what you think down below. Am I an idiot? Do you have some of the same issues? Do you wish that the V-fin was also shaped properly? I guess that's as close as I'm going to get without actually having a brand new V-fin mold in hand. And yeah, I will be picking up the accessory pack and stuff like that later on from the P Bandais. So, but I will see you guys later. Remember, as always, to keep on building.